Hi, my name is Dottie Korego Acheru, and I'm coming to you from my channel Talk to Dot. Talk to Dot, as you know, talks about domestic violence, toxic relationships, how to identify the red flags, how to survive domestic violence, how to escape domestic violence, and how to live free and gain yourself and regain yourself after you leave. Today, I want to tell you about some signs about toxic stroke abusive relationships. Now, one thing you have to understand is that in a normal relationship, right, there will be fights, there will be arguments. By fights, I mean arguments. Now, normal people have arguments, and based on those arguments, they learn and they grow. They learn about each other, they make amends, and they get through it. In an abusive relationship, arguments and fights are one-sided. It always has to be one person who wins. It always has to be one person who has the last say. It always has to be that one person who decides the yay and the amen. That is an example of an abusive relationship. Now, I'm going to talk about a few things that if you are experiencing them, if you are seeing them in your relationship or in someone's relationship, or you're observing and you're finding that out, you are in an abusive relationship. Listen, don't go away. Now, before I tell you about some of the signs of an abusive relationship, let me tell you a story. There once was a guy who said his ideal wife or partner was someone who did not work, did not earn any income, stayed at home and watched TV all day, had children for him, and tended to the family. Literally, her place was in the house. He said he would work and he would make all the money. She just needs to stay at home. And we asked him, why? Why is this your reasoning for this? He said, because she'll be easy to control. Now, have you heard that before when people say, oh, I don't want a woman who is advanced professionally. I don't want a woman who's exposed, who's got education and all that. Because once she's advanced and exposed to the world, she'll be difficult to control. Now, the key word there is control. Always look out for people who want to control you. Could be male, could be female, but as you know, I talk about domestic violence from the woman's point of view. Make it gender appropriate as you listen. So if you're with someone who wants to control you as their ideal for a partner, that in itself is a massive red flag. Because even if, there's some people who want to be a stay-at-home partner, but one day you're going to want to go out, do something, start a business, start a book club. They're going to say, you're not going anywhere. Remember, if you have no income, you're always going to have to ask for it. And then they can decide, no, you can't have it. Why do you need this? Why do I have to give it to you? And that's how it starts. Let's take it further. It doesn't like you to socialize with people. Talking about friends, family, female, same genders, doesn't matter. Just doesn't want you to socialize with anybody. That is a typical example of a toxic and abusive relationship. There's nothing normal about it. If you are in a relationship where you're not allowed to socialize, mix up with people, interact with people, think you are in an abusive relationship. I'm sorry. It is what it is. If he prefers you not working for no good reason, in fact, take it a step backwards. He gives you a good reason. You just had a baby. You must stay at home until the child is 5 or 7 years old. Like your career is going to be waiting for you for 7 years. That is an example of an abusive relationship. If you are in a relationship where you've been refused the opportunity to go out and work, you are in an abusive relationship. I'm sorry to say that again. If you work, but you are in a relationship where your partner doesn't want you to climb the corporate ladder, they just want you to stay in that position because, if she becomes a boss, I won't be able to control her. You are in an abusive relationship. I'm sorry again, but it is what it is. Let's talk about sex. He likes to spank you. He likes to choke you. He likes to subdue you and have violent, intimate moments. You are in an abusive relationship, especially if that's not what you want. So there's some people that's their kink. They like to be choked, spanked, strangled, and all that. That's different. If you don't like that, and it's actually creepy that someone likes to do that, that is a sign of being in an abusive relationship. One day they will choke you for real, and it'll be too late. The truth is, sometimes we refuse to see how bad Our relationships are. We want to think it's not that bad. Every relationship has problems. I'm sure mine is not as bad as it seemed. There must be some people out there dealing with stuff like this. It can get better. Let me tell you something. Can a partner in an abusive relationship or toxic relationship change? No. Can a toxic relationship get better? Or an abusive relationship get better? Never. How can you fix a toxic relationship or an abusive relationship or an abusive partner? You can't. Why do people stay in an abusive relationship for so long or never come out? Because they are hoping for a miracle or some sort of change. Sadly, some people never make it out of it. Sadly, some people spend so much of their life in there. But the truth is, it doesn't matter how long you spend in there. The key thing is you get out or you got out. I'm rooting for you. Let me tell you something. People always want to blame the woman in an abusive relationship for staying so long, for wanting a bad guy, for not wanting to speak up about it. But that's where you're wrong. A lot of times when you're in something, you're not able to see the right, you're not able to have perspective over what's going on. Have you heard about the boiling frog theory? I'll tell you about the boiling frog theory. A frog could be in boiling water and actually be boiled to death without actually jumping out. Now, you know frogs, they can jump very high. But why would a frog stay in that boiling water and be boiled to death as opposed to jumping out and saving itself? It is because the frog is in a warm place. The frog wants to be in a warm place. They don't realize that that warm place is killing him. And they stay there in that one place and they die. Domestic violence and victims of abuse is sort of similar to that. They entered a relationship because they saw someone they loved, they saw someone they believed in, they saw someone that presented 1% of the picture, and they fell for it. They stay in that position hoping for the best. I don't know what's out there. I've got my kids. He might change. And remember, they're not always dramatically terrible all the time. They show you the good, they show you the bad, and then they show you the ugly. And as time goes on, you see less and less and less of the good. So you keep seeing the bad, the ugly. In fact, you stop seeing the bad at some point. You only see the ugly all the time. So let's not victim shame. Let us come together, identify the signs of abuse. And if you see or you know someone in an abusive relationship, don't wait for her to come out. Don't wait for him to come out. Potentially, you might have to hold them and bring them out. It's your girl, Dottie Krieger at you, coming to you from Talk to Dot. As usual, if you are in an abusive relationship, know that it is not your fault. It is not your fault. And you are not alone. Talk to someone. If you can't find anyone to talk to, please talk to Dot. From me to you, as usual, it's one love, peace, guidance, and respect.